Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the biggest student power conference in the state of Virginia. All right, we got a lot of shifting the power to do this weekend. We got to start by bringing up the energy in this room. So we're going to call out some universities.
Cheer if you're from CNU.
Let's hear it.
William and Mary.
Let me hear EMU.
Virginia Tech.
All my people from UMW. Hey.
George Mason.
We got some people from Howard out here. Hey.
JMU.
Ooh, and VCU.
Woo!
Shouts out to UVA.
And we got some people from Nova. Nova.
Yeah.
Not yet, they're coming.
All right. Special shout out to all the high schoolers out here.
Yeah.
We got TC Williams High School. Where y'all at?
Yeah. And James River High. Yeah. Awesome. And then, do we have someone from the University of Vermont?
Yeah. Who are you?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Everyone give a round of applause.
Shouts out to the person that traveled the farthest to get to Power Shift.
That's fantastic. All right. Look around, because you need to get to know everyone here, not just the people from your universities. Is there anyone here who doesn't want to make any friends? All right. Nobody here doesn't want to make any friends. That means you need to make friends with everybody here. So if I leave the space not knowing one of you guys, I'm going to be very
Blasphemy.
upset.
All right, guys. This is a monumental moment for our movement. It's going to be an amazing weekend. I'm still not feeling the energy enough, though. How many of y'all were at the slam poetry last night?
Yeah.
All right, so we did a cool little energizer. I really fucked with it.
Yeah.
We're
Stand
gonna do
up.
that again. Let's stand up.
Stand up.
Come on.
Does everyone remember how it goes? Remember, oh, I feel so good like I knew I would. Oh, I feel so good.
We're going to start with the right hand. Then we're going to repeat it. Bring the left hand in. Repeat it. Bring the right leg in. And then when you hit the left leg,
Wild.
wild out. All right, ready?
Oh, I feel so good like I knew I would. Oh, I feel so good.
Left hand now.
Oh, I feel so good like I knew I would. Oh, I feel so good. Right leg now. Oh, I feel so good like I knew I would. Oh, I feel so good. Now wall out. Oh, I feel so good like I knew I would. Oh, I feel so good. Woo!
All right, let's have a seat and get this thing going. Yeah, oh, for action? Yeah.
You give a rundown of the action, I'll explain Power Shift.
Yeah, and then we're going to get everyone through the going in front of each other. All right.
What?
Power Shift is already off to a great start. Yesterday, we had one of the biggest divestment actions happening on Global Divestment Day in North America. That happened here in Virginia. More than 200 of us marched across campus demanding that our institution cut their ties with the fossil fuel industry, an industry that's harming our futures, driving climate change, damaging our communities. And we told our BAV a clear message that you need to choose which side. If you care about the future of the students, you cannot be invested in the fossil fuel industry. So We need y'all to help us out and make sure that we get the most effect and impact coming out of this action. Everyone whip out your phone. All right, get into Facebook. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Divest UMW. Check out the image that we took from an aerial spot. It tells our BOV to asking them what side are you on and to divest. Reshare that image. Let's blow it up on our social medias, and let's send a very clear message to the people that are making decisions that will impact our lives. What's up? Divest UMW. Ready to talk about that?
All right. Hey guys, so this is the second annual Virginia Power Shift that we've had, and the reason why I'm so excited today is because last year registration was at 155. This year, 355 people.
Hell yeah.
So hell yeah, that's a big start. Okay, so what Virginia Power Shift is, it's co-led by the Virginia Student Environmental Coalition as well as the Virginia Student Power Network. And we've gathered from across the region to build student power for economic, social, and climate justice movements. And so all these next workshops in the next hour are going to be geared towards giving you guys the tools that you need to get engaged, to get involved, to get active. So a lot of stuff going to be going on.
Yeah, we have organized this not as an educational conference. We've programmed it so that everything is a catalyst for action in our state. Students need to take action. They've been at the forefront of every major movement in history. And Virginia Power Shift is about empowering our students so that they can mobilize and organize about the issues that we are being affected by on our campuses and our communities. So keep that in mind today. Be thinking about how you can act to create change and affect change in our state and around the world. All right.
Hey everyone, my name's Diana. I'm from the University of Virginia, and this is Claire. We're going to give a bit more context about why we started these networks here in Virginia. They haven't been around that long, and most of them were started by the students here in this room today. So for VSEC, we are up against a lot in Virginia, and we recognize that as students. We saw mountaintop removal in the west of our state for mountaintop removal coal mining, and our forests are now threatened by fracking, and we have pipelines, new proposed pipelines that are going to divide our state. Meanwhile, in the east, we're seeing the rise of the tides, making Norfolk the second most endangered city in the nation for sea level rise. So shout out to ODU, we're fighting for you. And then while all that's happening, we have a General Assembly here in Virginia that denies the reality of climate change, and our universities are invested into the fossil fuel industry to keep that going. So that was what we recognized as students and what motivated us to get together and start the Virginia Student Environmental Coalition. Oh, okay.
Thanks. Yeah, and in the last few years in Virginia, we've come up against a crisis point with income inequality too. College is less affordable than ever before. Our legislature every year is slashing its education budget and other social services. Tuition and student debt are at an absolute all-time high, and our universities are more and more corporatized. Our LGBTQ brothers and sisters and our brothers and sisters of color, their humanity is regularly threatened by our General Assembly, threatened by the police, and even by fellow Virginians sometimes. Undocumented folks in our state are still treated as second-class citizens, and there's still a lot of oppression and systemic problems that are happening. We're also up against these huge corporate monopolies that whose profit motive would otherwise seek to destroy our future, but that's why we're here today. So we're up against a lot in Virginia, and that's why in the fall of 2013, a bunch of people in this room started the Virginia Student Environmental Coalition and the Virginia Student Power Network, and why we've been organizing, mobilizing, building campaigns, and rising up ever since.
Hey guys, I'm Ibby. So I just wanted to emphasize that this is in fact the largest intersectional student gathering in Virginia to further our student power, to build student power and further our goals. And it's really important that we're all physically together so that we can fight all of these problems that Claire and Diana were just talking about. And I also wanted to just let you know that this entire conference was planned by full-time students, for y'all, for student power. So, yeah. So I go to UVA, and I'm an organizer with UVA Students United, which is a branch of the Virginia Student Power Network, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about VSPN. So VSPN is a statewide grassroots network of students organizing for accessible, democratic, and diverse education in Virginia, as well as social, racial, and economic justice on and beyond our campuses. So VSPN was formed, like Claire was saying, by a group of progressive students in summer 2013 from many different backgrounds in social activism, and they wanted to build a statewide support network to further the issues and push for change on a statewide level. So in this fight for accessible, diverse, and democratic education, we encompass many different issues, but right now the most pressing crisis is that of massive student debt faced by so many of us right now. Our future is being sold out by our state legislature, who's balancing its budget on the backs of students and low and middle income families. So our main campaign right now is focused on affordability in higher education in Virginia and demanding our right to a debt-free education.
Yeah, and to give a bit more context to VSEC, how many people here were at National Power Shift in 2013? Woo! Awesome. Cool. So that is how VSEC got started. It was actually just a few weeks after VSPN got started. We had 250 students go to Pittsburgh for National Power Shift, and from that, realizing that the battles that we were facing are so rooted at the state level, we needed a state coalition to address them. We saw vibrant campus movements at all of our campuses across the state, but there was nothing speaking to our state legislator. And if we really wanted to build a better reality in our state and shift our state off of fossil fuels, we needed to organize and build student voice to speak to that level. So we started VSEC in the fall of 2013 and have been building ever since, and really excited for all of you guys who are new to the networks or have been with us for a while to build those stronger here this weekend at Virginia Power Shift.
All right, guys, we're going to give you some logistical information right now so you know what you're doing throughout the day and no one's getting lost or anything like that. Okay, so first of all, to get updates throughout the day, we have a text group set up for you. So text at VA PowerShift to 23559. So everybody get out your phones and prepare to do that so you can know what's going on. Also, for locations, the majority of Virginia Power Shift is going to go on in this building and also Monroe. Monroe is right up, if you leave out and go on Campus Walk, it's right up the hill, second building to the left, facing the fountain.
Yeah,
you can't miss it.
If you just go out here and you head like through the arches, there's a hill you come to, and if you head up that hill, you'll see a fountain. It's empty because it's winter, but like the fountain's in front of you, and it's the building to the left. And there's a sign out front that says Monroe, but just so you guys know where that's at. Okay, so as for housing, a lot of you have been here last night, so a lot of you have already been housed. But if you're not sure where you're staying, you just got here, you need any questions or anything, you can come and ask me about that. As for parking, I said this last night, but I know there are signs in the parking garage that say that there's hours, but you're allowed to park overnight, so nobody needs to worry about moving their car. It's been cleared with the parking office. So.
All right, guys, so there are going to be a lot of cool things happening today. We have like a lot of cool programmers, workshoppers, trainings, and I know you're all going to be blasting out on social media. So when you do, we want to make sure that everybody knows like where we're coming from. So hashtag it, hashtag VA PowerShift, hashtag VA Student Power. Let everybody know that we're organizing. Let everybody know we're out there. It makes a big difference. to show that we're like so united.
Tweet live quotes and stuff that you find interesting or that really move you from the workshops and stuff. Take pictures. Definitely send it all because, you know, everybody's so interconnected and everything through social media, so we definitely want to use that as a tool.
Okay, if you have any questions throughout the day on what's going on or you need any help, just look for anybody with the green bandana. We're going to be running around. Don't be afraid to stop. Say what's up. Whatever you need. Our friend Ibby over here is medically trained.
Hey, I'm an EMT, so my phone number is up here. If you need, I have like Band-Aids and stuff. Those are like really minor things. Obviously, if it's like a real emergency, like just go ahead and call 911 right away. But if it's, you know, questionable, you can go ahead and, you know, call or text me and I can come there. Yeah.
Explain food now. Explain food. Oh, we didn't do the schedule overview. Okay, guys. So this is how the schedule overview is going to go. In a little bit, we're going to do a nice tree power exercise along with an anti-oppression training. After that, around, I think it's 12:15, we're going to break out into session 1. That's going to be an hour. Then we hit lunch. So for lunch, we got, for all of our vegan friends, we're serving vegan food, and that's going to be stationed around the front here. For everybody else, we have pizza. We're going to be eating throughout this building, and also we got our student or our faculty dining rooms set up for you. There will be signs directing you to where to go. We'll have UMW students posted to tell you how to. This campus is like a mile big, so I don't think you.
Pretty much everything's on one path, so it's really hard to get lost.
Okay, and after that, we're going to have our next 2 sessions. Another break, session 4. Dinner around 5:30, and then we're going to break out, or then we're going to come back together in this room for keynotes. We got some pretty awesome keynotes set up for you guys, some like really active environmentalists in the Mountain Justice Movement, as well as our friend Reverend Earwood from the Hip Hop Caucus. So yeah, thank you guys.
Oh, and one more thing. So we have bathrooms, obviously, in every building. Down here, you've probably seen it's around the corner. We do have one gender-neutral bathroom, and that's going to be in this building, and that is right around the corner on this floor, and it's labeled. Just to let you guys know, other than that, obviously, bathrooms are pretty easy to find in every building. So.
And one more logistic point for the weekend. Like we said, the structure of today is workshops and trainings, and then tomorrow is set up for strengthening our networks, and it starts out with issue breakouts. We have 11 issue breakouts planned already, but that is definitely an open space, and there'll be a board located right near the front door. And if you feel like you want to coordinate around any issue around the state, sign up on that board, list your name as leading it, and pick a location in this building to do that. We want to leave that space open for anyone to mobilize around any issues. So we'll put up that list after this.
All right. So this is a conference, but we also really want to form a community this weekend. So we want to set some community norms so that everyone's on the same page and we're engaging with each other in a way that's very productive and connecting. So I'm going to read off some of the norms that we think we should set, and then we'll leave open space for other people to talk about norms that they think we should include. So some simple ones, like MJD said, let's meet new people while we're here. It's not often that you get to be in one space with people from 15 different universities all over the state and Vermont and DC. Yeah, so definitely, also definitely, if you are interested in environmental justice, try to choose one workshop that maybe steps outside of that focus so that you can really get a broad education while you're here. This building just opened up this year, and this is actually the first conference that is happening in here. It's badass that it's a student-led conference, but let's make sure that we respect the space and the organizers that put a lot of work into making this happen. Also, I want everyone to give a round of applause to Cartland right here. He's the building manager. He has put a lot of work into making this work for us, so let's make sure that we respect the space. Yeah, okay, also, when we're speaking at our workshops, let's make sure that we're allowing one voice to be heard. Let's not talk over people. Okay, now these are some of the ones that you have to be a lot more conscious of. Gender pronouns. Who wants to tell us what that means, gender pronouns? Yep.
You shouldn't assume that someone's a certain gender, and you should definitely like introduce yourself and ask them first and all that. And
yeah. Beatrice, that was amazing. Yeah, so don't assume someone's identity. When we're in workshops, when you introduce yourself, just say your name and then your preferred gender pronoun. So my name is Zachariah, and I go by he, him pronouns. Another one, step back, or step up and step back. If you notice that you've haven't been speaking that much at a workshop or a training, step up and try to speak. If you notice that you've been speaking quite a bit, step back and let other voices be heard. We good on that one? So the process of revolution and change has to be consistent with the goals and the ends of that revolution and change. So if we're trying to eliminate oppression and injustice, we need to be really aware of the way we're engaging with people in this space this weekend. So be very conscious of trying not to be discriminatory in your actions, your thoughts, or your communication with other people. Yeah, we have to make sure that we are internalizing the things that we are trying to create in our societies. Are we good on that? Another big one, this is, for a lot of people in this room, this is their first engagement with activism and a lot of the issues that we're going to be talking about. So let's assume best intentions when people are speaking. Let's just make sure that we're being supportive of each other in this space, and not necessarily making someone feel that they have no voice because they have no experience with this kind of engagement with social issues and environmental issues. Are we good on that? Best intentions? All right, great. Does anyone else have a community norm that we want to set? Very good, yes. So just to reiterate what Ben said, speak with I statements. So speak from your personal experience and don't speak for other groups or communities or places that you don't have experience with. Speak from your own experience. That makes sense to everyone? Great. Yeah. Have an open mind. That's a community norm for your life. Yeah. I love it. Everyone hear that? Nope. Let's have discussions and dialogues, not arguments. Debate is okay. Let's make sure that we're being productive with that, though. Any others? Yeah.
Maybe move just beyond gender pronouns to gender neutral language in general, like beyond some, like, hey guys, say hey everyone, hey y'all.
Yes, I like that. Just to reiterate, be very conscious of the way you're talking about people. Everyone heard? Not hey guys, hey all. Any others? MJD.
Don't be on the prowl. This isn't a space to find. I mean, it's Valentine's Day, but maybe how goes it? Yeah, respect.
Yeah, I think that could be summed up as let's respect each other. Be on the prowl for change. Yeah. Okay, yeah. No. Yes. Do not steal each other's things or fuck with each other's things. We have cameras everywhere. Any last community norms to set? Yeah.
Practice like self-care. So if you're in a situation where you feel triggered or frustrated, you just need to step away before you can step back into a conversation or space. Do that for yourself.
Perfect. That actually leads really well into here, Claire. You want to talk about that?
Perfect segue. So this weekend's going to be amazing. The workshops and everything we have lined up are incredible. But also, it's true that we're digging into some difficult topics, and they're not always easy to talk about, particularly if it's based on your personal experience and your lived experience, and it's more than just learning about it for you. So I'm going to be the safer space person throughout the weekend. So if you feel triggered or upset, or there's problematic dynamics going on, or actually another norm, if you don't drink, for instance, and feel uncomfortable in a space, for any of those things, I'm your go-to. Again, I'm Claire. My phone number is on the top there. You can text me anytime if you want to remain anonymous. I won't know who you are, or we can meet up and talk, or you can just pull me aside. I'll be in a workshop during the first block, but otherwise I'm available to talk to you. So any point in the weekend or tonight, even if it's late, please feel free to text me, and I will do the best I can to help out or get you in touch with someone who could.
Great. So again, these are more than just things written on a sheet. Let's really internalize them and make sure that we are engaging in a way that is in accordance to the community norms that we just set. We feel that? Hell yeah.
All right. Hi again. My name is Diana, still from UVA. I'll just add that as norm. Definitely introduce yourself throughout the weekend. That's one of the coolest things about PowerShift, is that there are people here from all over the state, and we should be getting to know each other. So there's Nobile, also from UVA. And we're going to run through the tree of power with everyone now before we transition into anti-oppression exercise. But this is one of my favorite things. We actually start all of our VSET convergences with the tree of power. It's a really good way to get a sense of the energy in the room and the breadth of the issues that we're all fighting here that brought us here to Virginia PowerShift. So I'm going to go ahead and explain the tree and how the metaphor works, and then we're going to work through an example together and break off into discussions to talk through it. So the tree is broken up essentially into three sections, being the leaves and the branches here at the top, the trunk, and then the roots. And three words to associate with each of those parts is what we call the what, the how, and the why. And I love the tree of power because it helps us break down and really understand where our battles are located, and also where our role is then within the movement. And so to give a bit more context, what's at the leaves? This is the visible manifestations of oppression. This is how our issues manifest in society, and it's the things that we feel, the things that we can name, and what most people outside of our movements would say that is kind of the reason of existence for our movements. Things that would go at the top here are mountaintop removal, coal mining. It's a lack of access to clean water because you live near a fracked gas site. Other examples for the top are unequal pay based on gender or based on anything else. I think another example that I would throw up there is that at UVA, all of my professors are white men. That's a reality. So these are the things that we live in every single day go at the top. Then to break that down one level deeper, the how is institutions and policies that hold these forces in place. And a few examples for the how part are eminent domain laws, which enable state government or national government to take land for putting in pipelines, like the Atlantic Coast Pipeline that we'll talk about a lot today. Other institutions and policies can be climate denial institutions that fuel climate denial within our government and in our society, or voter ID laws that prevent certain groups of people from showing out at the polls. And then we get one level deeper, bringing it down to the roots. This is the part that's underground, hard to see, hard to identify, but is the deep-rooted systems of oppression and social systems that are holding the entire tree in place. And this is where our battles really need to be located if we're going to see real wins with the movement. And so things at the Y are what we're going to talk about a lot more after this with anti-oppression, but these are the isms. This is racism, capitalism, classism, a lot of those big words that we will be breaking down throughout the day. But really important to understand why this whole tree is in place. And I also want to, as a note, this doesn't have to be a negative thing. We use it most to define our battles, but it can also be a positive exercise to define our movements and what we want to build. So you can also think of the tree of power kind of a movement space. And so what do we want our movements to be grounded in community and simplicity and sustainability. And the institutions can be things like VSEC and VSPN, which is our movement infrastructure, and then fighting for what we really want to see at the Leaves. So I encourage you to think of it as a positive way too, in addition to breaking down the battles that were here. So Nabila is going to take us through one issue all the way through the Tree of Power, and then we're going to break out into discussions.
Once again, I'm Nabila, and I prefer to go by she and her. So I'm just going to walk through an example from the leaf all the way to the root. Trigger warning, I'm going to talk about police brutality. So a leaf would be the shootings and killings of unarmed black men. And then moving down into the trunk, which is the institutions and policies that sort of uphold and perpetuate a leaf. And here we're talking about police brutality. So a trunk would be mass incarceration, stop and frisk, standard ground laws, the militarization of school to prison pipelines, and then moving down further into the roots, which are these like systems, social systems that perpetuate the trunk, which are the institution and policies, and then those translate into the leaves. So examples for police brutality, the roots would be racism, classism, and capitalism. So that's just sort of a run through of how to like go from a leaf, which is an issue that we can visually see, and then sort of breaking it down all the way to the roots, which is the like system of oppression.
Thanks. So we want to take about 10 minutes now. Try to talk to people who aren't from your school, get into groups about 3 to maybe 5, and run through this tree yourself. Pick a single issue that brought you here in this room today, or something good that you want to fight for, and break that down all the way from the what, the how, and the why. And then we're going to come back and kind of get a sense of all the issues and all the things that we believe in also in this room, and put it on the tree. And we're going to continue to build this throughout the day. It's going to be transported upstairs, and we'll be building and breaking down all of these deep-seated forces throughout the day. So go ahead and take about 10 now, just within the space that we're in, and get to know each other.
How about 3 schools in each group?
Yeah.
In order to break yourselves up?
Okay. All right, we're going to bring it back to the front and build this tree together now, just taking a few minutes to gather the things that you guys have been talking about in the room. So what we're going to do, cool, thank you. We're going to go ahead and get a lot of things up on these branches right now to get a sense of everything that's in this room. So Claire and I are going to do our best to write, but we just want to kind of go around the room and have people shout out what you guys were talking about in your discussion. So starting over here, does anyone want to? What? We're just at the leaves right now. So. Yeah. She said the stigma against environmentalists and activists, yeah? Cool. Here, do you wanna?
Okay, other leaves from over here. Yep. Yes. What was that last one? Energy sources. Water pollution. Yes. Either of y'all. Awesome. All right, keep shouting them out. Yeah, here in the front. Factory farming. Immigration. Failed immigration system. Yeah. Atlantic Coast Pipeline. What is that? A natural gas pipeline that's about to be built? No. It is not about to be built. That's why we are here. That will go through a lot of Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
How about someone on the balcony? How's our balcony friends doing? They have no issues on the balcony.
Investing in fossil fuels. Is there another? Yeah. Would that be a leaf? Yes. Be more specific. But yes, definitely many things related to, you'd say, underfunded schools. Yeah. John. Wage slavery. Low wage slavery. Wage slavery.
Yeah, I might move that to the truck. We can transition now into some institutions and policies.
Got one more.
How? Oh, was there one? Yeah, that is down at the root. Let's go ahead and get some trunks on here.
The war on drugs is a policy, so it goes at the trunk. Leah?
Hey, yeah. Yeah. Did you get that clear? Right to work legislation?
Can you explain what that is?
Thank you.
Anti-worker laws.
Yeah, two in the back there. Would you put that at the leaves? Yeah. How about? Yeah, that would be at this part. So this again is policies and institutions that uphold the realities that we feel. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's how do you spell that? You got it, Claire. Did you get gerrymandering? All right, yeah, two here. Oh, also, yeah, do you want to explain what that is before we move on? Yeah, thank you. That is the megaphone. yeah. Victim blaming, victim shaming, and then what would you say about policies? Discriminatory school policies. Ah, balcony, hey! Say that again? Yeah, thank you. We'll take one more. Yeah. Do you want to explain that a little bit more? Okay, thank you. We're gonna move down to the roots to get a deeper sense of what all of this means and why it's here. So who wants to give us some roots? Break that down. Yeah, Shilpa says that root is nationalism, to put a name to that, but that is really good. Thank you. Yeah, balcony friends. Laura, explain that. You got it? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Explain denial. Okay, I could see that. Denial. It's kind of like maybe like right here, like denial of. It's the grass. Yeah, some right here. Explain pop culture as a root. I think I would move that up to a trunk. I mean, pop culture is an industry in a lot of ways, and I think that's deeper rooted in what our standards of beauty are and what forces those come from, but that's an awesome example. Whoa, MJD. Oh yeah, sexism we'll go to that one. Thank you. Patriarchy. Thanks. You've talked. Yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you. Oh, whoa. Neocolonialism and... Sorry? Xenophobia. Can both of you explain both of your words? Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll take one more, and then we got to wrap it up. Yeah, in the back. Yes. That's a Yeah, I think I would put like money and politics again kind of towards the trunk with capitalism and corporatism at the roots for that one. Is that Zionism and settler colonialism? Who said that? Do you want to explain it? Yeah, thank you. All right, we're gonna wrap it up at that, but this will be in the main area, and we hope to continue building it throughout the day. We have obviously a lot to work on in this room, and that is the role of Virginia Power Shift, is to start to build the youth movement to tackle all these issues, especially the ones that affect us directly in Virginia. So I hope this isn't like dooming to everyone, but it is good to get this out together and talk about it and see how many people in this room feel convicted by all these issues, and we can keep going on for a long time. So please add to this throughout the day, and thank you all for your suggestions. We're gonna hand it off now.
Okay, so the part of the day today. Yeah. Thanks. So are people sitting next to their schools and people that they came with? That usually happens. Can you get up and move next to a new person if you're sitting next to a group of friends, please? Moving around for this exercise. It's nice to get to know some new faces.
New friends.
New friends.
Power.
Great.
We don't have to use both. We don't have to share, right?
No, I don't think so. So let's take.
If we could do that
in a minute.
Fairly quickly.
I wish I had like music playing.
Yeah.
I can like.
Yeah.
Wait for people to sit down. Do you have people coming through with cups? Okay, let's do that first. And like you can, Colleen, you can keep them up here.
Do we want to
just like keep them like? And then people that are in the gallery upstairs, we're playing a game that requires you to be in a group around a bowl of candy. So these folks right here, I'm gonna need you to move down and get next to a bigger group so we have candy that you can share. You guys in the middle are doing great. Maybe like form a kind of long, skinny group up here. That'd be great. All right, we're gonna have people coming through with cups. Everybody needs one cup. And then we're going to bring bowls of candy that need to be kind of in the middle of a center of folks.
And you're going to want to be around larger groups, I know.
Yeah, so like let's put the bowls around like groups of 10 or so, 10 to 15.
Hello.
And everybody needs a cup. I think you're just going to have to like step over people and get back there. Hello.
Yeah. It's like hella quiet. It's on though. I think it's just quiet. So you have to like scream.
Hello. I don't think this one is on.
Can you all hear me? No, they can't.
Yeah, but the problem.
We have a megaphone.
No. We'll share with this one. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Do you want to just explain to everybody again about the cups, or do you want me to tell them what to do with these?
Just start passing them out. Yeah. Everybody needs a cup, so we're gonna have people passing them out. Make sure you take a stack and pass them back. Do we have enough people passing cups out? We need help passing the cups out, Diana. Thank you. Take a stack of cups and pass them to another group. All right, so we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot of content to cover, so we're gonna jump into it. If people can continue passing around cups silently, that would be great. And we have an opportunity to meet people in a couple minutes, but first we wanted to introduce ourselves up here and talk a little bit about why we're transitioning into this training now. So my name is Shilpa Joshi. I work for the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. I've been an organizer for all of my professional life. And I worked with students, and I work on fracking in Maryland to stop fracking. And I'll talk a little bit more about myself later, but that's my initial introduction.
Yeah, my name is Rodrigo Velasquez. I'm a junior here at George Mason University. I'm undocumented, so I've been organizing around immigrants and immigrant rights with the Not One More campaign, freeing political prisoners. I've done organizing around queer activism and just a lot of, I guess, other things that I'm not going to say out. That's a lot.
Okay, great. So as the cups are still coming around, please raise your hand if you have no candy or no cups near you. Okay, yeah, I had a feeling we have to. Colleen, do you see that? Candy, though, needs to get back that way, too. Yeah, back there. We just need to fill a couple more bowls. Okay. So we're gonna discuss some terms this morning to help. One of the norms that I have. Are you waving because you need candy back there?
It's being passed back, right there, that way. Yes. See, I don't think I even need a microphone. Down that way.
Great. Everybody needs a cup. Do we have enough? No. I need. Okay. She's got it.
Okay.
All right, let's start with terms.
Okay. Do you want to kind of go one up?
Yeah, sure. So whenever I'm leading a training, I like to give a rundown of the words that we're going to be using a lot and the ideas that we're going to be using a lot because I never want to assume that people have the same level of understanding about an issue. So this is something I do a lot when I'm talking to community groups about fracking, which is a panel I'm leading right after this. So it's not great to make the assumption that people know what that word means. So I try to explain things as I'm going along. So in the interest of doing that, we've put up some definitions up here, and Rodrigo and I are going to read them out. If you have a question of what something means, or it's an acronym that you're not familiar with, that people are saying a lot, raise your hand and we'll define it for you, or we'll try our best to define it for you, because you can't move forward on organizing if you don't have the basic understanding of what we're talking about. Okay.
So the first word and definition that we have for you is over here to your right, if you're looking at me. See? I'm getting this. White supremacy. Who has heard the term before? Great. So white supremacy is defined as the belief that white people are superior to those of all other races, especially and particularly the black race, and should therefore dominate society as a practical belief that is ingrained within society.
Yeah, so it's a belief structure, but it's also something that we see manifest in our political system, in education, in laws, policies, and institutions. It's incredibly pervasive in the United States and in other parts of the Northern and European dominated cultures. All right, so should I say the next one? All right, so the next one is identity. So we have a couple definitions for identity. Most people are familiar with it, but it's nice to talk about since that's what we're going to be talking about right now. It is a person's conception of their own self. It is also others' individuality or group affiliation, such as national identity or cultural identity. And then also identity can be forced upon us by systems, groups, and individuals. So, and this gets a little bit into the other words that we're going to be discussing, but sometimes you don't get to pick the identity that you are instead assigned. So for example, I'm born in this country and I'm American, but for many people that see me at first, I don't read as an American because in their minds an American is a white person. So I'm an Indian person first, but that's not how I think of myself inside always, but that's the identity that's been assigned to me.
The next word that we have for you all is intersectionality over here. Intersectionality is defined as the practice of advocating and organizing at the intersections between forms and systems of oppression, domination, or discrimination.
Also very critical in our work, since we have, as you can see with the Tree of Power, I think this is a perfect example of how our work is entwined and intersectional. And it's kind of organizing at the meeting points of those struggles. The next one is oppression. I did this in red without really thinking about it, but the exercise of power or authority in a cruel or burdensome or unjust manner, the feeling of being heavily burdened mentally or physically by adverse conditions or people, and the anxiety that that causes.
The next definition that we have for you all is privilege. Some groups of people inherently have social, economic, psychological, political, physical advantages over other groups of people, resulting in an inherent imbalance of power between people.
And then finally, we have isms. This is something we discussed a lot in the Tree of Power, but taking a step back, an ism is a system of power or privilege, and systems of power and privilege that support certain groups and marginalize others, and is used as a way to define those systems. So those are just some things we thought would be helpful to have up here before we get started on the next exercise. So now, does everyone have a cup? If you don't have a cup, please raise your hand. Yes. Oh, no. Okay, great. No, I think we got it. All right. Everyone have candy accessible to them? Okay, so to start this exercise out, you're going to put, no, still back there? All right, we need a bowl of candy. We're out of candy? Oh, okay, cool. You're going to start with 5 pieces of candy in your cup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, if we could continue doing that as silently as possible, we're going to be giving the instructions for the activity that we're going to be running with you all today. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be reading various statements, and based on our instructions, you will either place a marble in your cup or place an M&M in your cup or remove an M&M from your cup. Use the M&Ms in your immediate area so that it's accessible to you, and if it's not, please let us know so we can help make that as accessible as possible. This is going to be a silent activity. Please focus specifically in your cup. Raise your hand if you need a statement to be repeated. And as we go through this, we really want people to start thinking about their own identities, right? So we started listing some identities, and to also give some more pretext, I'm willing to say some identities that I identify with. So I'm queer, I'm undocumented, low income, first generation college student. Those are some of the things that, are prevalent in my life.
Okay, so some identities I align myself with is queer, lesbian, college graduate, they see first generation of immigrant parents, and organizer.
So the first set of questions that we're going to be asking you all to remove or add are going to be based on race.
So Rodrigo and I are going to read out statements, and at the end of the statement, we will say, add a piece of candy to your cup or remove a piece of candy to your cup. So you have to make sure that there's a stockpile of candy close enough to you that you can reach if you are adding. So this group right here, I'm seeing that you might need to get an extra bowl and split it up. Okay, great, awesome. All right, let's get started.
Okay, the first statement that we're going to read. Add a piece of candy to your cup if you have studied the history and culture of your ethnic ancestors in elementary and secondary school that did not focus mostly on enslavement or colonialism. Do we need that to be repeated? Okay. Okay. If you have studied the history and culture of your ethnic ancestors in elementary and secondary school that did not focus mostly on enslavement or colonialism, add a piece of candy to your cup. Do we need that repeated one more time? Of your people. Yeah. Okay, the next one. If your family taught you that the police were people that needed to be feared, remove a piece of candy from your cup. Do we need that repeated? If your family taught you that the police were people that needed to be feared, remove a piece of candy from your cup. The next one, if your ancestors were forced to come to this country or forced to relocate from where they were living either temporarily or permanently or restricted from living in certain areas, remove a piece of candy from your cup. The next one, if there are ample representations of you in the media other than depictions of criminals or impoverished communities, add a piece of candy to your cup. The next one, oh, okay. Yeah. If there are ample representations of you in the media other than the depictions of criminals or impoverished communities, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you or any member of your family has been incarcerated for reasons other than political activism, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If you can be sure if you need medical or legal help, your race will not work against you, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you can make sure you need medical or legal help, your race will not work against you, add a piece of candy to your cup.
All right, so now these address class and economic status. If your family owns their own home, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you grew up with people of color or working class people who were maids, servants, gardeners, or babysitters in or for your house, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you grew up with people of color or working class people who were maids, servants, gardeners, or babysitters in or for your house, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you felt an opportunity or experience was closed off to you because you didn't know how to speak, dress, or act, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If you grew up expecting that your family would pay for your college, add a piece of candy to your cup. If, as a child, you were ever hungry or worried that there would not be enough food, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If, as a child, you were ever hungry or worried that there would not be enough food, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If you ever inherited or expect to inherit money or property, add a piece of candy to your cup. If people with political or economic power in your community look like you, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you have ever lived somewhere that society or the media told you wasn't safe, remove a piece of candy from your cup.
The next set of questions will be around gender, gender presentation, and or gender nonconformity. If you have ever been denied a job, paid less for comparable work, or have had less qualified men have been promoted over you because of your gender, remove a piece of candy from your cup. Do we need that repeated? Okay. If you have ever been denied a job, paid less for comparable work, or had a less qualified man promoted over you because of your gender, remove a piece of candy from your cup. if you have an innate fear of navigating certain spaces because of your gender or gender presentation, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If it is common to see people of your gender or gender presentation as outlets for domestic, physical, emotional, or sexual violence, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If it is common to see people of your gender or gender expression as outlets for domestic, physical, emotional, or sexual violence, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If all the presidents of the United States have a gender that matches your own, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you are sure that you will comfortably be able to find a restroom that matches your gender identity and that you will be allowed to enter this restroom without questioning, add a piece of candy to your cup.
If you have ever been unable to attend an event or gathering because it was not accessible to people with your differing ability, whether it's physical, mental, psychological, or learning disability, remove a piece of candy from your cup. Should I say that again? Okay. If you have ever been unable to attend an event or gathering because it was not accessible to people with your differing abilities, whether it be physical, mental, psychological, or learning disability, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If the media has mostly positive portrayals of people with your body shape, size, and or abilities, add a piece of candy to your cup. Do you need that again? Okay. If the media has mostly positive portrayals of people with your body shape, size, and or abilities, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you have ever had to hide your sexuality for fear of violence of any kind or ridicule, remove a piece of candy from your cup. Yeah. If you've ever had to hide your sexuality for fear of violence of any kind or ridicule, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If you are sure that any job, housing situation, or new partner will be comfortable with your sexuality or sexual orientation, add a piece of candy to your cup. So if you are sure that any job, housing situation, or new partner will be comfortable with your sexuality and sexual orientation, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you have ever been asked, how long have you known you were that way, or are you sure you are that way in regards to your orientation, remove a piece of candy from your cup.
So the next set of questions will be on, statements will be on immigration and citizenship status. If you have citizenship or unquestioned documentation to reside in the United States, add a piece of candy to your cup. If you have been unable or had hard access to work or attending an institution due to your immigration status, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If you have had difficulty accessing work or attending an institution due to your citizenship status, remove a piece of candy from your cup. If Immigration Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, have ever investigated, harassed, or threatened you or your immediate family, remove a piece of candy from your cup. The next statements are on spirituality. If you can easily find your religious faith expressed, and valued in popular culture and media in a positive fashion, add a piece of candy to your cup. Are we good at that? Okay. If your religion or spiritual beliefs have ever caused you to be seen as un-American, remove a piece of candy from your cup.
Okay, so this is an exercise that I've done with a lot of different groups and sizes. This is definitely the biggest size, and I'm glad that everyone was able to stay focused with it. So it's important to acknowledge that in real time, pieces of candy do not perfectly describe the weight or privileges associated with certain identities. A combination of various identities creates completely different experiences. So for example, there is an undeniable fact that there are inherent privileges that people in the room have that we don't really consider when we move through life. There are also inherent oppressions that some people have in the room that have to be considered every moment of every day, whether they like it or not, because that is the system in which we live in and they can't escape that. So it's a way of bringing this more esoteric kind of conceptual stuff back to the individual, back to you, and seeing how it really impacts your life and impacts the people around you. So to talk a little bit about how oppression is pervasive and all-encompassing in some ways, we're going to talk about the 4 eyes of oppression now. And before we do that, it's kind of a heavy exercise, so I kind of just wanted to get up and eat a little piece of candy or move them to the side or something, swing your arms and kind of shake it out or talk. Take a couple minutes to whew. It's a lot of stuff. Lots of stuff. Let's put it right on the tree. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have a lot of time. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's the...
Anyone can say their name and their school.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea.
Should I have him sit down?
Until 35.
Okay.
Because we can go until... Let me just get a time check from someone.
Okay.
I think we're really good on time now.
Ibby, how are we on time? 10.
So when do we need to be out of here or done? 11. Okay, cool.
Don't dismiss everyone when you guys are finished because Alice has to say something about directions and stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds great. Sorry. Awesome. Go a minute, people relaxing, and then we'll have everyone sit back down. That's good.
Yeah. Could we have everyone sit down and also come back to the group, please? If we can have everyone sit down so we can continue on with the exercise. I'm going to keep talking as loudly as I can so I can also understand that, I'm still alive because it's hard to be alive these days. If I could have everyone please sit down and focus back up here. If we could please have everyone sit down and focus. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Oh, yes, Shilpa. Okay, so there's a lot of things definitely to process as we go through this activity, so we also want to open up the floor. What are some thoughts that are coming? Any comments? Any thoughts? If we could have some hands raised, volunteers, if you could just say your name and school. Anybody? Yes. What's your name again? What's your name? Lexi from Mary Washington said that the diversity in this room is wonderful, right? Beautiful. See? Scott? Okay. We got one more right there. Mm. Okay, yes. Got one more. Some hands. Oh, right there. Mm. Okay. So I mean, one common trend that heard, this gets complicated, right? Kind of like this tree with a lot of different things being written on here. Our identities complicate the ways that we work within systems of power, privilege, and oppression, right? And it's not always visible, but it still limits access or gives us extra access that may be inherently given. Yeah. Can we have two more people? Two more. Yes. Okay. Did everyone hear that?
I'm Ben, pronouns they, them. If you're in a position of privilege, you need to advocate for others.
Okay. Can we get one more comment right there? You might need to speak up.
I'm Michelle from Virginia Tech, and I didn't really realize how much it hurt until I heard it.
Mm. One more person.
Also, I'm Taylor from George Mason, she, her, and I think it was interesting, paying attention to your own thing, but then also hearing around the room when you could hear echoes of many M&Ms around the room going in, and then you would hear only one on certain statements. So I think it just says a lot about dynamics in a large body as well.
Great. Okay. Do you want to write the I's as I go through it? Here. Oh, okay. So when we're talking about all of these concepts, it's just nice for me and others to see them aligned in different ways because everybody's a different kind of learner. I'm a more visual learner, so I like. Wow, that's a really messy diagram. I'm sorry. So I like to put things in categories, but I'm very visual. So this part of the exercise is a way of a little bit of debriefing the CUPS exercise. It's called the 4 Eyes of Oppression. It's a little text heavy, but ask questions as we're going through it. I'll try to provide examples of how these things play with each other. So the first eye of oppression is ideological. The very intentional ideological development of the isms. So this is what we see our isms manifesting out and why these isms are so hard and so pervasive and difficult to break down. So first, any oppressive system has at its core the idea that one group is somehow better than other and in some measure has the right to control the other group. This idea gets elaborated in many ways: more intelligent, harder working, stronger, more capable, more noble, more deserving, more advanced, chosen, superior, and so on. The dominant group holds this idea about itself, and of course the opposite qualities are attributed to the other group: stupid, lazy, weak, incompetent, worthless, less deserving, backward, inferior, and so on. So our most insidious problems in our society that are really starting to come to a head for a lot of us, especially young people, in 2014, are rooted in ideological oppression. So we'll get back to providing some examples. I just want to get them all up there. The next is institutional. So it's demonstrated in how institutions and systems reinforce and manifest ideology. So examples are, well, I guess we can put them in the circle later. Well, I'll skip the examples right now. So it's the idea that one group is better than the other and has the right to control the other, and that gets embedded in the institutions of the society: the laws, the legal system, the police practice, the education system, hiring practices, public policy, housing development, media images, political power, etc. So when a woman makes 2/3 of what a man makes, it is institutionalized sexism. When 1 out of 4 African American men are in jail or on probation, it is institutionalized racism. Consider that dominant culture also controls the language itself used to describe all groups in society and can make things visible or invisible when necessary. So an example of that is to consider is the war on drugs instead of the war on poverty. as well as an expanded definition of violence and how violence towards targeted groups happens at a systemic level. So you can put some of these examples in there. Any questions so far? I'm going to talk about it a little bit more at the end. So the next one is interpersonal. So this is the way we play violence out on each other, or oppression based on oppression. So it's the idea that one group is better than the other and has the right to control the other, which gets structured into our institutions, as I said, gives permission reinforcement for individual members of the dominant group to personally mistreat individuals in the targeted or oppressed group. Interpersonal racism is what white people do to people of color up close. The racist jokes, the stereotypes, the beatings and harassment, the threats, the whole range of personal acts of discrimination. Similarly, interpersonal sexism is what men do to women, the sexual abuse, harassment, the violence directed at women, the sexist jokes, ignoring or minimizing of women's thinking, etc. So many people in the dominant group are not consciously oppressive. I think that's very important to note. They have internalized the negative messages about other groups sometimes, and that's also the kind of work that we have to do in our own selves that Zachariah was talking about earlier. So when we're talking about dismantling oppressive systems and oppressive institutions, sometimes the hardest work is dismantling the oppression that is deep-rooted inside of us, because we've grown up in these systems and we've just taken all of those messages and made it, you know, into our brainwaves. So many people in the dominant group are not consciously oppressive. They've internalized negative messages about their groups, other groups, and consider their attitudes towards other groups quite normal. And to the back, right. And then finally, that's all the way down to internalized. So how we internalize the ideological ideas of oppression. You can also kind of see this as like an inverted pyramid that starts with ideological, down to institutional, then to interpersonal, and then to internalized oppression. But they play off of each other in ways too. So internalized oppression means the oppressor doesn't have to exert any more pressure because we do it to ourselves and each other. The fourth way oppression works is within the groups of people who suffer the most from mistreatment. Oppressed people internalize the ideology of inferiority. They see it reflected in the institutions. They experience mistreatment interpersonally from members of the dominant group, and then they eventually come to internalize the negative messages about themselves. Oppression always begins from the outside of the oppressed group, but by the time it gets internalized, the external oppression need hardly be felt for the damage to be done. If people from the oppressed group feel bad about themselves, it largely could be said that it's because of the nature of the system. They do not have the power to direct those feelings back towards the dominant group without receiving more blows. Then there are only two places to dump those feelings: on oneself or on people in the same group, which is what we call horizontal violence when we're talking about oppressed people lashing out against other oppressed people. Thus, people in any target group have to struggle hard to keep from feeling heavy feelings of powerlessness or despair. On the way to eliminating institutional oppression, each oppressed group has to undo the internalized beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that stem from the oppression so that they can build unity and power among people in that group, support its leaders, feel proud of its contributors, and develop strength and organize. So it's getting really deep into it, but I think it speaks a little bit to what we're trying to do here today. So we filled in some, like institutional oppressions are media, access to legal, medical, and educational things, war on drugs. Let's take it back up to ideological oppression. Do people have any examples they want to raise their hands and give of ideological oppressions? Social stigma, do you want to describe it a little bit more? Okay, I would almost argue that's an interpersonal oppression, because the social stigma is a way of maybe like racism or classism manifesting out between people in order to leverage that kind of assumption or stereotype about another human being. So I would put social stigma and interpersonal. Does that make sense why we moved it there? Okay. Any other hands? I'm gonna put this down. Back there? Yeah. Nationalism and capitalism are heavy, heavy oppressive systems in the US particularly. Back there. Heteronormativity? Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So Rodrigo is saying that it probably is like somewhere in the middle here between ideological and interpersonal.
What are some examples, I guess, of hierarchy that you would see play out within an ideological?
I mean, all of these structures, all of these systems we're describing are hierarchical, and I think implicit in that is that any sort of hierarchy does violence because it assumes that something is greater or above something else. The opposition then would be, I don't know, anarchy, in which things are more egalitarian and equal.
Eurocentrism? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? So Eurocentrism is, I think, offshoot of white supremacy and colonialism. Do you want to talk about it? Neoliberalism. Yeah. Let's move to interpersonal examples of interpersonal oppression. So some forms of that are obviously hitting very close to home for me right now, but a man in North Carolina killing 3 students because he perceives them to, we're not really sure why, but that would be an example of a very violent and deadly form of interpersonal oppression. Chapel Hill killing. Any others? There's a lot.
Institutions and classrooms, buildings, architecture, it's all structured in a way that people who are able, a lot of old, very old architecture is not structured to be wheelchair accessible or there's many.
Absolutely. Other examples of interpersonal oppression from hands that we haven't seen? Right back there. Yeah, so I would call that high rates of, queer homelessness, queer youth homelessness. That was a great one, thank you. Sexual assault, absolutely. The death of Eric Gardner. Yeah, sorry. Microaggressions. Do you want to describe define it a little bit if you're comfortable with that? Can you give an example? I mean, it depends on who's like delivering the microaggression, but a microaggression is more, speaking as a person of color, a microaggression is more often received from white people or people that are in a dominant group. And it's easier to dismantle if it's coming from another person of color. Just speaking from my own experience, I feel more comfortable like saying something back, but I feel it's more interpersonal, but it can be internalized also. Yeah. Let's do internalized now, forms of internalized oppression. So that's a good example of an internalized form. A form of internalized oppression could be, again, speaking from personal experience, they see friends of mine that are female that grew up putting in blue colored contacts and dyeing their hair blonde because they felt that that was the true mark of beauty. So like fitting white beauty models or something. Self-harm. Absolutely. I feel like that fits into heteronormativity a little bit, but do you want to talk it out a little bit more? Why you think it's specifically internalized? Okay, so it's, yeah, or like internalized heteronormativity. Gallery, hands? Hegemony, do you want to describe that a little bit? We're talking about internalized oppression again. So make it connect back to internalized oppression if you can. So an internalized oppressive example of hegemony would be.
So we want to be rich, we want to be white, we want to be heterosexual. Is it like to become part of a dominant? But yeah.
Okay. So an example I would give maybe of an internalized oppression in relationship with hegemony would be getting credit cards or like the culture, you know, to have more things if you not necessarily have the money coming in because it like fits in with what you think you need to own in our capitalist structure in the US. Is that? Yeah. Self-worth. Yeah. Slut shaming and self-blame. Okay. It was like the upholding of virginity in women versus like sexual proclivity in men. Okay, so there's obviously a lot more that we can add to these, but the purpose of this exercise is to see how things are connected and relate back to ideological oppressions, institutional oppressions. And for me, the most important part about this work is when I am working on a campaign that's way out here, and I'm focused really strongly on something that is critically important, and I know that winning on it will mean a lot. sometimes it means even more to me if I can take it all the way back down to the roots. And I can connect it to what actually are we trying to dismantle here? What actually will be the net gain or benefit from winning on these campaigns that we're all working on, that we're all so passionate about, that we want to bring people in, we want to educate people about. We're having panels, we're going to sessions today, right? So there's so much work happening, and it's all incredibly good work. But connecting it back to the trunks and then even further down to the roots is just really bolstering and uplifting for me, because it helps me see how collectively we're dismantling oppression. All right. Now I'm going to hand it over to Alice, who has some logistical notes.
Okay, so the schedule has a little bit of a mistake. It says Monroe 166 as one of the rooms. That does not exist. So if you go looking for that, it's going to be a weird day for you. It's 116. It is the big auditorium in that building. So Monroe, when you walk in, the first floor is the second floor. So you have to go either to the left or the right-hand side. There's stairwells. Go down. Downstairs, the first floor is broken in half by the big lecture hall. Like, you can't possibly miss it. When you walk in, it's right in front of you on either side. So that's going to be where those big things are. So we're going to start in a few minutes. A group of us is going to walk over to Monroe. So everyone who wants to go to one of those workshops can come with us, just kind of to get where you're going. So in the first group, we have Divestment 101, and that's going to be in 116, not 166, in Monroe. And then Undaka Queer is going to be there as well, and that's led by Rodrigo here, who you guys just saw and was speaking. So that's going to be really interesting. And then also the Environmental Justice 101, which is my thing, so y'all should go to it. And those three are going to be in Monroe. So if anybody wants to go to one of those workshops, just link up with me or whatever. I'll be out here in the lobby, and we can head on over. And like I said, Monroe 116, not 166. Just make sure everyone gets that. So. Oh, for cups and everything, if you guys can just pick those up and bring them. Try to stack them with other people so we don't have a million individual cups. And just bring them up front or something, that's fine. We'll deal with them.
Yeah, no, as people are filing out, stack your cups on that side bench over there in the hallway. So just make sure there are no cups left in this room. You can, yeah. So just make sure you're putting your cups on that side bench to the right when you exit out.